Hey, welcome everybody. Morning, Dave.
Morning.
Morning. Welcome everybody to Talking Niagara. We are interesting weekend this weekend. so,
Yes.
yeah, so yes, the World Cup proceeds. Not sure, there's some surprises there, but there's a whole load of the whole load of nations that have only been there over once or twice before who are suddenly making inroads into the competition.
Yeah, Canada. Well, Canada for one.
Canada for one, yeah, Egypt for another. They beat New Zealand last night.
That's pretty good. You know what? When I kind of when I see hockey moving around and I see other countries doing so well at it, and it kind of bums me that we're losing dominance. But on the other hand, I celebrate the fact that hockey is moving around the world,
Yeah,
and more talent is coming into it, and more various ways of playing the game are coming in. So that kind of buoys my spirit. We
yeah,
may not be the most well, we're still a pretty dominant player in hockey, but we're losing that. But we're losing that for the right reason because hockey
yeah,
is expanding,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
and I
And
think that's probably the same as football.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Soccer's expanded around. Well, soccer's always been there around the world. It's just its professional presence has expanded around the world. What they were saying with both New Zealand and Egypt last night was that when they were in the World Cup previously, both of those teams were largely amateur. Now they're all professional players, and many of them playing in top European leagues.
Well, look at the Japanese took out Brazil.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, if you had predicted that in Brazil, you would be shot dead. Or
Probably.
being laughed, being mocked and laughed, and even put in the paper. Man thinks Brazil will lose to Japan. Ha ha.
Yeah.
So there you go. That all that does is mean the game's getting better all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
getting more world presence, and it's the same with as you said, hockey, cricket, soccer. They're all going that way, right?
which is very very good.
When I was
Here's
a kid, soccer was dead. Once you turned 16, they got something to shoot for in all sorts. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine started playing hockey or started playing soccer with with fellow engineers at Acres.
and
And
probably half of these were Europeans, right? Or
well,
from
yeah, they were mostly Brits,
yeah,
and they all get out and start playing a game of soccer, and he got involved in that. And he kept telling me what a great game it was. And I'm into lacrosse and games like that. Cross well, it was summertime. In the summertime, I played lacrosse.
yeah,
So but he also played lacrosse. So I mean, any game you want to get in is good. Soccer being the worldwide game, it's called the beautiful game, and for a reason, because all you need to do it, any kid anywhere in the world can play soccer. All you need is a ball and an empty lot somewhere,
yeah, yeah,
and
exactly. A
you can
ball,
play.
yeah, a ball, and when we were kids, it was a ball and two jerseys in the park.
Well, one for the goals, you mean for the
Yep,
goal line? Yeah,
two
yeah,
jerseys at each end for the goals in the park, and usually the kids had the jerseys on them, right? The jumpers on cardigans on them.
yeah. So there you go. We used to do the same thing. We used to take our for football, you know, pick up football. These would be the goals and so on. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, the simpler the better, basically. Like, look at all the shinny games of hockey I used to play. I played like up until I was about in my teens. Most of the hockey I played was outdoor pickup hockey.
yeah,
Simple on the go. Had a great time. That's I think that, and the thing that people don't realize. Of course, we're eyeballing the greatest athletes right now as we watch the World Cup, but the thing is to encourage anybody and everyone to get out there and play.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, actually, one of the things that Mike made a point is once you turn 16, there's not really, if you're not a professional or on routes to becoming a professional, there's kind of not, it's problematic in any sport in any part of the world. Although that said, we had work teams and things like that. We even had a work league that I was in. Our work company was in a West London league, and they were failing miserably until I stood between the sticks. No.
You were the goalie, right?
I was always a goalie. Well, you see, usually the thing about goalies is they go, "Oh, who's the worst player on the team? Yeah, you go in goal, mate." I come on the team and I say, "I play in goal." They go, "What? Nobody says you play in goal." And then I play in goal, and they go, "Whoa, how the fuck did you? You're brilliant at it." I said, "Yeah, that's why I said I play in goal."
There you have it. Anyway, so I think it's just good that soccer's getting out there. We play more soccer, less war. That's good with me.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's start off with something local. At Highway 55, an airport road intersection in Niagara-on-the-Lake. There's a lot of challenges over this one, and the region is basically saying this whole thing is on pause because they want to know what the future of the airport is before they start reshaping the road. There's been discussion there about having a roundabout for many, many years, as many people would know.
Well, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
It does.
But there's back and forth accusations in this. You're not listening to the average person, blah, blah, blah. It's a top down. You didn't come and consult the people about what they want and everything.
Well, that actually is part of the challenge of this whole thing, isn't it? Because Councillor, what's her name? Councillor Sandra O'Connor is basically saying the region is steamrolling them.
Yeah. So, well, Niagara-on-the-Lake, it wants to stay a quiet little town as much as it can, even though that's becoming a little less possible all the time.
Yeah.
Because more and more big money is going in there buying the houses. At one time, it used to be a nice little sort of town that mostly farmers' town, basically. The Prince of Wales used to be a watering hole for the farmers. I used to go there, and it used to be a tap room for farmers. You used to go in there and there'd be farmers in there, and you'd be drinking beer with farmers and asking them how that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not now. It's Ponzi. It's a Ponzi operation. And people walk around there and people buy the houses because they want that small town thing, but at the same time, they secretly want the big mega stores so they can buy stuff real cheap. So Niagara-on-the-Lake has this constant battle going on. Now, the airport will be a boom to the local economy. Let's face it, not just Niagara-on-the-Lake, but all of the Niagara region if we get that airport going.
Yeah.
So, but the problem is we've heard about this airport for a very long time, and really nothing has moved on it.
I get it why the region is pausing at the moment, because the challenge with that road is that if they don't know what the future of the airport holds yet, and that is still up under discussion for probably the next 2 or 3 years. We've had some idea, but every time they talk about something with the airport, there's always objections to it. Right? Personally, I think the airport's not in the best of positions, because coming into land, you've got to take a hop over the skyway. You've got to jump the skyway and then drop it down.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's perfectly, from what I can tell, from all the other airports I've been in around the world, I don't think that's too much of a challenge.
Yeah, well, But again, I've not seen. But again, the question is, they've been talking about. It always seems to me they've been talking about, hey, expansion of Niagara on the Lake Airport for quite some time, and yet, I was looking up. Oh, can I fly from Niagara on the Lake to North Bay? No.
Well, no, but that's the age-old, typical, everyday problem of Canadian airports is that if somebody from Manitoba wants to go to Vancouver, they might have to fly to Toronto first and then go.
Yeah,
which is dumb, but it's amount of volume of traffic and what's available out there. So that it doesn't.
Well, I'm not expecting to fly a big jet up there. I just want one of the, even a prop plane would go nicely, and even if it did take 2 hours to get to North Bay.
Well, it depends. It depends. Like I remember coming back from Ottawa to the Niagara region one time, and I forget, it was Great Lakes Airlines, I think it was at the time. So we flew from Ottawa, and then we flew to Peterborough, and then we flew to Toronto, and then we flew to I think somewhere around here, and then later on the plane went to Sarnia, and it was a prop plane.
Yeah,
that was way back in the late 70s, though. But let's face it, even going from Buffalo to New York City, they have a small shuttle once or twice a day. Yeah. That's all they use from a pretty big city to a huge city. So it depends on who's going there and what the demand is. If you open up some of the mining sectors in the ring of fire up in Northern Ontario, then you're going to start getting more planes because you're going to get more demand. The airlines will not go someplace where it's not going to pay them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah. So there's a few other areas in Niagara on the Lake that they've been complaining about, and one of the things that the region has always been talking about is that so several local transportation related issues. They've questioned the director of infrastructure in the region about, and they've not got satisfactory answers. This is all related to the Niagara Transportation Master Plan. And for example, one of the questions that they've been talking about was a roundabout in where was that? Gone completely blank about it. There's a roundabout they were talking about down in St. David's. That's where it was. And the council said it's such a bad idea, but the region wants to go ahead with it. The trouble is, this is actually one of the big problems we have with something like the region. Smaller areas like Niagara on the Lake are getting lost, aren't they?
Are they? Are they really?
Well, that's one of the arguments.
It's I don't know. It could be a combination of things. I think it's pretty typical democratic process. Some people say no. Some people say yes. Some people say maybe. That I don't know. I think it's just a pretty.
Well, the trouble is with something like this. Yeah, the trouble is with something like this, you and I could have different views, and we're both right.
No, I would be right.
Right. Yeah. Anything else on this?
No, not anything. It seems to me just a typical process of what's happening.
Yeah.
And when you have an unstable regional governance right now, as we do, where they don't know where they're going to end up, depending on what the province wants to do, that may complicate issues too.
Yeah. Okay. So, my new job's at 10 Downing Street, yes.
Yeah. 7 ministers in 9 years thinking the Brexit is working.
Brexit is not working, definitely not working. Brexit was is the most costly decision of the British ever. Right? It cost more than the Battle of Britain already.
Well, I think isn't that one of the reasons why Carney was brought in to help adjust the the British economy to a non-Brexit economy or a non EU economy? And one of the first things he said is expect 20% drop in economic economy, and that's what happened.
Yep, exactly. He said it won't work, and I agree, it won't work.
Yeah, right. Well, he was there. He was there to make sure to transition it. I think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but he got in there to help transition the British economy from EU to Brexit type, and he had to work with an economy that was much shrunken because of the Brexit deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the thing is that this reminds me of one of the things on the Brexit referendum day. They had this conversation. They did this thing with the people who worked at this workplace in Plymouth. You know, how did you vote? How did you vote? To leave, said all the workers. Then they interviewed the manager, and the manager said, yeah, they've just all voted to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
Unfortunately.
Because they were 100%, that company made things 100% for the European market. None of their products were sold on the British market at all. It was all exported to Europe.
Yeah.
Right? So to do that, they lost their jobs. Dumb.
Yeah.
Right? That's how big an impact it had upon the British economy. It was a dumb.
So Starmer, I don't know if his political ills have much to do with Brexit right now because he didn't start that and
no, he didn't.
Or anything like that. But he hasn't been a very good leader, or at least it seems that way. I don't know how much of a chance he's got. It seems to me that if you're the British premier these times, there seems to be no way out or no way in. There seems to be no satisfying anyone.
Yeah, in fact, actually, interesting that one of the things we had for the show was that Trump was basically saying to Starmer, "You got to resign," and in fact, actually, Starmer has resigned today.
Yeah, well, I think it wasn't very. I mean, Trump saying that didn't mean anything because Starmer was on his way out. Now, Trump says he didn't say he must resign. He said he's going to resign. And I think that was pretty obvious to anybody that was watching that there's no way Starmer could go forward. It's just right. Dave, you're right. Trump said so. Yeah. Yeah. So Trump said that he's going to go, but I don't think that was, and it's like saying the sun's going to come up today. That was a kind of an obvious fact. The British government's not doing so well. And
here was the funny thing is that I said right on election day, the day when they got the biggest majority in the history, and the Labour Party got the biggest majority in the history of British politics, I said it was a one-term government.
Yeah, maybe, but it seems like the British politics is just sort of all topsy-turvy. Nobody can settle down to anything, and there's a lot of confusion out there. And you might be, it might be a legacy. It might be a legacy of Brexit too, because the economy is shrunk.
It is a legacy of Brexit. But yes, Dave. Yes, Ricky. I could do a better job than Starmer.
I think
I'm not taking the job. And I'm not taking the job.
I think Trump's very popular in Britain, as he's telling everybody, so he might as well do the job. He says he says he wants to be the prime minister of Israel because he's so popular there. But maybe he can do two jobs at once, take care of Britain and Israel at the same time.
Oh, yeah, but you see, haven't you heard? 51st state.
51st state of what? Of Israel? Who's 51st state today?
UK,
Like,
isn't it? Sure.
UK could be the 51st state. Israel is going to be the 51st state. Venezuela was going to be the 51st state. That was a big one on his mind for a while there.
But UK was, of course, the first state.
Yeah, okay.
Couldn't be the 51st state because it was the first state.
It was the original state. So everybody's going to have to move up a number. So Britain is now number 1. Delaware is now number 2, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I think Delaware was number 1, was the first state.
You're probably right.
And then thereafter, so Delaware is going to have to move to number 2.
But neither you nor I have a vote in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder. Okay. Well, wait a minute. What are they going to do with that gigantic Ferris wheel, the London Eye? Is it in jeopardy?
No.
You might have to dismantle it and sell it to New York, or I think it would look. I think it would look good. I think it would look good on the lawn of the White House, don't you?
No.
Well, you gotta ask Trump. He likes this one.
You know, it took them 10 years to build that.
Chinese could have done it in half a year.
Probably. Yeah, put 20 million people.
I think if Starmer, like if the UK wants a better deal with the US, they can offer them the big London Eye. Put it right there at Mar-a-Lago. Anyways, so Mike says we were the first ones invited as 51st state, Dave. Yeah, but you know what? Venezuela's up there. Even Cuba is making sounds like, not that anyone there wants to be 51st state, but someone wants them to be 51st state. I think there's going to be 54 states now. Look, Canada 51, Venezuela 52, Cuba 53, Israel 54, and UK 55. There's going to be 55 states now.
Yeah.
And I'm not counting Greenland yet. It's up there for nomination as well.
Yeah, that ain't happening. He isn't getting there. Okay. Okay, moving on. The Straits of Hormuz, it's open, says the US. It's closed, says Iran.
Well, it's all basically whether or not the Strait's open or not, all depends on what's happening between Hezbollah and Israel.
Yeah.
As we know, Israel invaded southern Lebanon, but this time it's pushed all the people out. It's pushed out over 1 million people, and it's crushing all their houses. Now, normally the southern part of Lebanon is where most of the Shiites live in Lebanon. Therefore, it'll be most of the area in which Hezbollah controls. So there's reason for why they're doing it. But it's very, very clear to everyone that they also want another piece of Lebanon. They want to keep it. That's why they're destroying all the houses and pushing all the people out. They don't intend for those people to come back. Now, those people are made up of not only Shias, but as we talked about, Christian villages getting knocked down and churches and all that. So it doesn't matter what ethnic group you are, what kind of alignment you are. So the Christians are suffering. So this is a bit of a dilemma for the U.S. as the U.S. begins to lose its ignorance about Lebanon and understands that, a huge amount of the population in Lebanon is Christian. I think used to be 50%, it's probably down about 40% now. Anyway, a huge amount of the population is Christian. And what are you doing? Killing Christians and pushing Christians off their land. Same thing as in the West Bank and Gaza. So the Straits will not open until the United States can control their ally, Israel. Israel says it's going to do what it wants to do. It says it's protecting itself. Hezbollah says they are protecting themselves and say, look, they've invaded our country and we're fighting them. I don't know what's going to happen. Both Hezbollah and Israel have said, okay, we're not going to fight anymore. And as Trump pointed out, look, you're bombing Beirut. You're not even keeping it in southern Lebanon. You're bombing Beirut. You're knocking down whole buildings to get one person. You're overdoing it.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, the United States could care less about any of that, but now they need a peace deal, and finally they can use the facts against Israel, saying, "Look, that's what you do. You go around and you kill a whole lot of people to get one, and then you try to take all their land." They could do better. Remember, the last person to stand up to Israel in Lebanon was Reagan. He said that they were genocidal, what they were doing in Lebanon.
Yeah,
and so somebody's got to stand up to Netanyahu. Now, Netanyahu's under pressure because the hard right on his party wants to take Lebanon. They want a greater Israel. And their idea is, if you can't stand up, you got to stand up to the president. That's it. We're 9 million people. And if you can't slap around the president like we've done before, look what we did to Biden. We slapped him around, pushed him around, made him look like a fool. You got to do the same thing with Trump. I think Trump's probably got other ideas. He saw what happened to Biden. He has been the most accommodating president to Israel of all time, and that's beginning to wear thin. He's given them the most amount of guns. He's given the most amount of territory. He's protected them the most of any president, and now that has backfired on him. Now he wants a favor back. Don't fight in Hezbollah. Don't fight Hezbollah. Don't do that anymore. And we could open up the straits, but he cannot control them.
Yeah.
So the straits will be closed open all the way. Now, Trump's really got off the lid, though. He has now threatened Iran again. He's saying, pretty much, you tell Hezbollah to stop fighting, and if you don't, we're going to bomb the crap out of your country. I'm going to take over the Straits of Hormuz. I'm going to charge 20% toll. That's what I'm going to do, he said. I'm going to personally take over, like the United States is going to take over the Straits of Hormuz. We're going to make money by charging 20% toll through the Straits of Hormuz, and that the negotiators that are now in Switzerland may not even make it home alive. Like, I don't know where he gets this stuff. This is supposed to be his like genius negotiating techniques.
Yeah.
But this is not going down well. When you threaten the negotiators saying you may not even make it home alive. And remember that means something to them, because every time they negotiate with the states last two times anyway, they negotiated with the states attacked Iran. So they're in the middle of negotiations before they dropped the big bombs on the nuclear development sites and said they obliterated everything. Then they engaged them in talks in Oman, and even said that the talks were going very, very well, lulled the Iranians into complacency a bit as these talks were going on. While they're going on, they bomb the Khomeini and all the leaders and try to chop the head of the snake off. So the Iranians, of course, don't trust them. Who would?
Why would they? Yeah. Exactly. Right.
And who trusts the Americans anyway? Remember the Kurds. Remember, Trump says, "Okay, the Kurds are going to come in from the north, and they're going to do battle with us. We're going to support them as they attack." Well, the Kurds remember Donald Trump very well. He turned their back on them back in his first term.
Not just that. This has been done with successive American regimes.
Yes,
Kurds have been stabbed in the back by many times by successive American regimes.
Well, mostly Trump, and mostly right when they needed them too, and which was a huge embarrassment for the American military that were stationed in Iraq at the time. That was hugely embarrassing for them. And not only that, but the American military revolted a bit and made messages very clear to Trump. Look, what the hell are you doing? Those are our pals. Even if we've been fighting side by side with them, what are you doing? But Trump was clearly unable to understand anything because of his ignorance. But if you expect the Kurds to come and help you now after you do something like that, they'll never trust you. So as Trump is raging on, telling them that he's going to take over the Straits of Hormuz, and he's going to drop poles. I mean, they are sneaking a few ships through the Omani part of the strait. That's true, but very few. I mean, they brag, oh, we've been getting ships through there the whole time. Well, it's been a small trickle, obviously. And, of course, they make it sound like it's a big deal. But I hope they really get this done quick. Basically, get a hold of your ally, Israel. Israel is a country of 9 million people, and it commands too much power in the United States, so much so that the president of the United States cannot stop the Israelis from attacking a neighboring country and depopulating, pushing the people out and destroying their homes and bombing apartment buildings in Beirut full of people and killing women and children. So there's just nothing. It shows the world that the United States has no control over Israel, and the United States is just going to hand them more money. And but so if Trump can control Israel, Iran will control Hezbollah. They will stop that fighting. Once they stop that fighting, then we can get on with the peace deal. But right now, it's very, very cold. I mean, when the president of the United States tells the negotiators they may not even make it back alive, of course they're not shaking. And then they make a big deal about the Iranians not shaking the hands of the American negotiators. They shake the hands of the Qataris and the Turks and everyone else there. But
you know as well as I do that the Middle Eastern people don't like handshakes.
Well, they were shaking hands with everybody else.
Hmm.
And that's not true in Libya. We shook hands like every day, millions of times a day.
Okay. Yeah. Well, in Saudi Arabia, they don't.
Libya, they do.
Mm.
But anyway, the thing here, of course, is can Trump rein in his boy? And when he couldn't rein in Putin with the Ukraine war, what did he do? He came down hard on Zelensky. He was the weaker one. So what he's doing now, he's doing the same thing. I got no control over Bibi, so I'll start yelling at the Iranians. I mean, that really works, doesn't
it? Yeah.
Anyway, I hope it's because, look, they got a number of ships out there. They got about 16 billion gallons of oil out of there for a few days when it was open. So that is a very good thing. Trump needs a win, so he's going to shift to Cuba as soon as he can get this done. But Bibi's a thorn in his side.
Okay, no.
Canada will make great. Yeah, you're right. He will make Canada great again, right? If he resigns.
Okay, so moving back something local, Ford Fest 26. There were protests at it.
You mean some people are upset with Dougie? Oh,
seems that way.
Who knew? How could that be?
So a small army of police officers and private security couldn't stop the protesters from getting in there, particularly striking OPSEU workers made their voices heard for Ford Fest. So this was held on Friday.
Yes. Well,
the trouble with these damn striking workers, of course, Dave, is that they're off work and could freely go to these things on work days. Get back to work, strikers. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah,
I
but
don't
get
know.
back to work. Get back to work.
I can't concentrate on this story because I'm thinking Starmer has got to leave Britain, and Britain is getting really needs a lot of cash. So I'm thinking that London Eye coming here to Niagara Falls, that is now a possibility. We'll get our Ferris wheel after all.
So, yeah,
So then, yeah. So
actually,
anyway,
seeing that London Eye get built, that's an incredible engineering project, because the whole of that Ferris wheel, they built it. They actually pulled it in, chunks of the wheel in place, and they put it all sideways down on the river, and then lifted the whole thing up off the river.
well, anyway, did they when it was in the river? I hope it was painted. Anyway, hey, talk about painting. You hear all the business about that reflecting pond in the U.S., like the Lincoln reflecting pond that Trump was so big on making America flag blue. Well,
Okay.
so it is now full of algae. The whole pond's full of algae, which is not unusual because that's what happens to standing pools of water if there's not a proper filtration system.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the paint, the special paint they were using is lifting off and peeling off the bottom. So it made a lot of sense from a particular contractor. A particular contractor was talking about an independent contractor. He says, look, when they cleaned it out, that stuff that they used, that paint that they use is the best possible paint ever, and it would last forever. It's great stuff. However, it has to be prepped. The surface has to be prepped very, very well. If the surface is prepped very well, it'll last decades. But if you don't, it'll lift up. If there's any kind of moisture underneath that works its way up, it will lift up. That's what seems to happen. Plus, he said, now if you decide to make it a darker color like Trump did with the America flag blue, you are inviting more heat, therefore a faster petri dish basically for algae. So you're going to have filtration systems and stuff like that to keep the algae out, or make it out of salt water or any other kind of thing. They didn't do that either. So what you had was a contractor that was Trump's buddy. No other contractor put a bid on it. Laid down the paint. Obviously didn't prep the surface correctly because the paint is peeling off, and the algae bloom started much more fast because it's blue, darker, absorbs more heat, and then they have no ability to fight the algae bloom. I think this is kind of typical of most of Trump's stuff, whether it's his tariffs or his war in Iran. He goes in there and he doesn't plan anything.
Mm-hmm. He just does it.
What about the great burger? No way, great hamburgers. Great hamburgers. You're making me hungry, Rick. Tell me more. Trump knows what he's doing. Yeah, sure does.
Yeah, and that's part. And what you were saying about he's just like, let's get it done today. Yes, Mr. President, but you need 18 months of this and that and the other before you can get it done today. I don't care about that. Let's just do it today.
Yeah, well, in his first term, he had adults in the room who could tell him no. But now he doesn't have any adults in the room who tell him no. And everyone in the room with him, even though they know better, won't tell him no.
Yes.
So if someone says, look, you better make sure that you have a contracting process and that they know what they're doing, you're sending your buddy in there, but does he know he has to prep the bottom of that pool very, very well and make sure it's super dry and make sure there's no source of moisture coming from underneath? Does he know any of all that? Just get it done. And unfortunately, when July 1st comes and people go to Washington, they're going to see peels of paint and algae. Although he's saying Trump, there you go again, like Trump says, we're going to get it fixed. But of course, the conspiracy theories come out that people have actually been adding algae to the pool, and that he's even arrested an Olympian. He says he's tearing the paint off the bottom of the pool, which he didn't do. He just walked into the pool and picked up a piece of paint.
He's got 2 weeks to fix it before July 4th, right?
He can make it look good for a few days, but as soon as the celebrations are over, they're going to have to probably repaint the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, anything further on what we were talking about with the Ford Fest, the striking workers, etc.?
No, anyway, that's just pretty typical. The union there has said that they really didn't mean, it wasn't intended to drown out Ford when he was talking and all that. I doubt that very much. The union knew that the guys were going to go, be angry and yell. I don't know if there's a place for that for demonstrators to go, although the Ford Fest thing has always drawn demonstrators. I guess that's just all part of it.
It's part of the course. He's got to expect it. As premier, he's got to expect that, right?
Yeah, but the APSU union has good points. It needs redress of its contract and all that. Very important, but I don't know. They took this opportunity to make it that way. Ford looks like he typically did not pay much attention to them.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So G7 seems to be problems in the G7, and Italy's Giorgia Meloni delivered a sharp rebuke to Donald Trump and attacked his popularity on Sunday, intensifying a feud that's been erupting at the G7 summit.
I don't really get the G7 here. When Donald Trump showed up, they were doing their typical European, "Oh, you're wonderful, hello, daddy" kind of stuff. But Trump really does push it too far, and he says, "Well, Giorgia Meloni was begging me for a photo op." That's news for Giorgia Meloni because she doesn't remember any of that. And she says, "We don't beg. We're Italy. We don't beg for anything. I don't beg. They don't beg. I don't know what you're talking about." Then Trump, part of his plan is never ever apologize for anything, no matter how wrong you might be. So he just doubles down and he says, "Oh yeah, well that's what she wanted to do. She was begging me. She won't admit it." And of course, this has just drove everybody crazy again. He can't tell the truth. Like if it makes him look bad or he has to back up on something, he won't do that. He could say it was a misunderstanding, but he won't even say that. He just says, no, she was begging me for a photo op, begging me. At this time in Italy, you might not want to be associated with Donald Trump too much. Donald Trump is not exactly the most well-liked person in Italy at this particular time, particularly with Americans' associations with the war in Gaza and in support of Israel is not going down very well in Italy anywhere. Leadership right down to the average person. Like having a photo op with Donald Trump might not be the best idea.
There used to be a time at the end of these G7, G20s when you'd get this kind of photo op. So the British Prime Minister would stand with the Italian Prime Minister, with the American President, with the French Prime Minister, etc., etc. There'd be almost a photo op. They'd move down the line for a photo op, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would, but they just do that kind of thing. It seems to me very illogical at this particular time when Trump was very, 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 very popular in a lot of right-wing circles around Europe and the rest of the world. in his first term and even at the beginning of his second term. You could see where people might want to get their photograph with him. But still, I cannot see someone like George Maloney begging for a photograph. Well, this is so George Maloney came out very, very clear and said, "That's it. I'm not listening to you anymore. We've given you a lot. I mean, Europeans call you daddy, and we've been licking your boots for too long. So no, I'm not going to go this one. No way did Donald Trump say, no way did I beg for a photo op with him. No way.
Yeah.
And that kind of rings true because right now Donald Trump is not the most popular guy in Europe. Well, if you get a photo op of Donald Trump, people will jeer at you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of, oh, your turn for Donald Trump. No, thank you. No, I'm gone. Bye.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way I see that many of the world leaders are right now.
Yeah, well, you have your choice. You want your picture with Donald Trump or Osama bin Laden? Oh, I'll take bin Laden.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that is so funny. The most hated person in the world is even more preferable to Donald Trump. Who's the boss? Says Ricky.
Yeah, that's.
But he also says,
of course, Trump comes in and he tells everybody he's the boss, and he tells a story of he going into a room and there's not a whole lot of people in the room. The room was made for more people or whatever. So he comes in and he says, "Well, I'm the boss," and of course everybody chuckles and ha ha ha, yeah. They kind of do the bow down kind of thing, But they put up with him saying that kind of stuff. It was like that imbecile from Germany called him daddy that last time. They still bow down to him, They still, oh, you're wonderful, you're great. I guess they still think that if you compliment the hell out of them, things will go easier with you. But when Maloney came along, that was the last straw for Maloney. No way, that's it. I'm not. And they were pals. Maloney and Trump were pals. Remember, she gave him the best endorsements earlier on when he was.
Yeah, but she's also slagging him off as being the least popular president in history right now.
Well, one of the big problems with Italy and the United States, even with Biden, was this Gaza thing. No one can stop Israel from the monstrous things they're doing in Gaza because the United States protects them in all ways. Now they're doing the same sort of thing in southern Lebanon, and we find that the United States might be against it, but they don't have any power to stop Bibi, which is also an annoyance for. So when the United States comes in and says, "I'm the boss," and you can't even control Bibi Netanyahu, it's laughable. But what bothers me so much is the Europeans kowtowing to him so much the way they do.
Yeah.
They might say something in the press. Oh, we disagree with the U.S. here. We disagree with Trump there. But when he shows up, they bow. Oh, hello, daddy. But I guess George Maloney is not going to do that now. And in a typical Italian fashion, no way do I beg for him to have a photo with me. He was a begging for having a picture with me.
I love the accent, Dave. Love the accent. It's probably as as racist as hell against the Italians, but you can't say that sort of thing anymore these days, can you?
Well, I was imitating my old great grandmother. That's the way she talked.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Yep. Okay. So moving on, Ukraine is basically increasing strikes upon Russian oil and Russian weapons infrastructure as this war continues to grind on.
It's amazing to me that the Ukrainians have made some strides. When the war began very early on, I said, and I was just mimicking what others had said, basically, that Ukraine cannot last very much longer. Well, I mean, they can't outlast the Russians. Let's put it that way. No matter how long the war lasts for 10 years, they'll eventually lose because they'll eventually lose men, and men is what it takes to control the front, since they have much less resources. But the kill rate is much higher among the Russians than it is the Ukrainians. And ever since the drone technology is coming in, where you don't really need a man out there, they can kill all kinds of men and equipment with the drones, where you don't really put a person at risk. So that same soldier that think of it in the old days, you got a soldier and he goes out there and he's kind of a commando, or he's out there and he shoots a bunch of Russians and eventually he gets shot.
Yeah.
So, but now that same soldier can sit in a room and fly drone after drone after drone.
Who cares if that one gets shot? Let's put a new one up. Yeah. Okay, that one got shot. Let's put a new one up. Right.
Yeah. You don't lose the skilled person. You don't lose the skilled soldier. And I don't know. It's a meat grinder. I hate the fact that it's going on. I did not think this. I put this right in the lap of NATO. I put it right in the lap of Joe Biden. He did very little to stop this war. As a matter of fact, it looked like he wanted the war. And so did Boris Johnson and all the people that were there at the particular time. They had a chance to stop the war back in 2014, but they didn't. And Ukraine got stuck with this. Ukraine gave away their nuclear weapons with the assurances from the United States and Russia that their land would be safe. So, but that was negated when the United States started pushing for NATO to expand onto the Black Sea. And they offered Georgia NATO. And what did the Russians do to Georgia? They crushed it. And now they're working on Ukraine. Yeah. Basically, what the West has got to do, it has got to walk in there and say, Russia, you have assurances from us that we will not put a NATO, Ukraine will not become a NATO country.
Yeah.
And look what we've done to Georgia. We said, okay, Georgia, you want to be a NATO country? Good. Come on in, be a NATO country. George Bush said that. What happened to Georgia? It got crushed. What did we do to help Georgia out? Zero. Nothing.
Yeah.
And then we say, okay, Ukraine, we give away your nuclear weapons and we'll protect you. But we're going to put NATO there. That stimulates the Russians to attack. And then what do? We gave you weapons, half of what you need, little dribble by dribble to a dribble. And now this war has gone on, 4 years or something?
Something like that, yeah. It's now become a drone war.
It is. It's been stupid, though, the whole time, and it need not have happened.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden was a fool for letting this happen. He thought that they could beat the Russians through economic sanctions. They thought the Russians could not afford this war, but they've been affording it very well the whole time. So the West has to live up to its responsibilities, basically. And unfortunately, this war could really get, like, I really feel for the Russians and the Ukrainians, really. They're the ones stuck in the middle of this. They're the ones that have to suffer through less food, less medicine, less everything. Their lives cannot go on because this is kind of like a forever war.
Yeah.
And this need not have happened.
Yeah.
So,
well, where we sit right now
is that these slow burning forever wars.
Yeah. Right. What I was saying is with the drone strikes going into the heart of Moscow, these, they're hitting oil infrastructure and weapons things in the heart of Moscow. This is not just anywhere in Russia. This is in the heart of the capital.
Yes, the Ukrainians have developed drone technology probably better than most people around. They were first attacked by the Shahed drones that the Russians were buying from Iran. Once the Ukrainians saw that these inexpensive methods were very, very effective, they developed their own.
Yeah.
One of the countries that have very bad or not so great drone technology are the U.S. They're lagging behind. They copied the Shahed drone and made it much more sophisticated, but they don't have that many. And what do they call them? There's a name they have for them, but it's basically a copy of the Iranian one, and they just made it much more sophisticated. But still, they don't have as many, and they're not as good at the art of drone warfare yet. They'll catch up pretty quick, but the Ukrainians are probably among the best at it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this is prolonging the war, and pretty much anyone in Ukraine and Europe are just kind of don't really expect that the U.S. is going to help them too much under Trump, and don't really ignore Trump. And Trump's really angry at Zelensky because Zelensky doesn't give him any respect.
Yeah.
You know, he does not give him any respect anymore. And yeah, we used to think you were cool, but now you're not. So you're not going to help us, so go away.
Yeah, I don't think Zelensky should give him any credit anyway, because he treated him badly at the White House. Okay,
yeah, he set him up bad.
Yeah, he treated him badly at the White House. That's for sure.
And then there was all kinds of lies about Zelensky, and his big his villas in Italy and so on and so forth. Lots and lots of BS. Fox generated BX. So I don't know.
Well, I think there's some Rick generated BS right at the moment, because he says it's raining here. How can we stop it? Use Trump.
Well, I would call him, but he's the one that's raining on us now because the negotiations haven't gone so well. So he's pretty much said, you're going to see it my way, or it's going to rain in your country forever.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know. All I know is he's got this Jesus complex in his head, and that kind of worries me, right? That picture of him as Jesus, that's kind of too weird for me.
Too weird for you, right?
Okay. And the gold statues. Oh, that, I don't know. That doesn't look too good. And blaming a former Olympian for the pool going bad. That's another one. They actually arrested that guy.
That's a bit bad. Yeah.
Well, he's looking for anybody he can blame. That's his tip. That's what if it doesn't go his way, he blame. Anyway, if this damned Iran war ends, I'll be fine. Get it done. Pretend you won. I don't care. Get out of there. Get those Straits of Hormuz open. Try to handle your ally, Netanyahu. He's slapping you around, and you're pretending, when Netanyahu goes ahead and does what he wants to do, and Trump says, don't do that anymore, and he keeps doing it. So what's he do? He says, oh, it must be Hezbollah's fault. So he can't get Netanyahu to do what he wants to do, so he starts blaming Hezbollah.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be Hezbollah.
And let's be honest, we've never had any great love for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard or the Iranian government. Certainly since the fall of the Shah. But at the moment, they look way more trustworthy than the American government, don't they?
Yeah, at least I don't know. Yeah. The faster they're out of power, the better. But the people of Iran's going to have to do it.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't come down to the U.S. doing it. It comes down to the people of Iran.
Yeah. So the more sanctions, the more everything. What you want to do is coax them into the family of nations. And that's what the JCPOA was supposed to do. And funnily enough, when Trump was talking about the agreement which was similar to the JCPOA that he had come up with Iran. One of the aspects of it was try to draw Iran, back into normal government relationships with one government to another and economic relationships.
Yeah.
The whole idea, if you do that, you will actually erode the government power, because the country will then become more reliant on standardized trade and interaction between other countries. So the Islamic regime and the ideals of that will just kind of fritter away. And I think that's probably a stronger way of doing it, basically.
Yeah.
But anyway, without further ado, I bid you adieu. I've got to get going. And don't forget Gaza. We've talked about it already here today. It's very, very interesting to see whether or not the United States will be able to bring their ally, Israel, into some sort of coordination. In Israel, the complaint is, we don't listen to the U.S. president. We do what we want to do. We're an independent country. Well, yeah, you're an independent country that cannot live without the generous amounts of money and political protection you get from the United States. Anyway, what was that last one from Rick? What is important is the Ferris wheel in Niagara Falls. Yes, I'm getting more and more obsessed with that. I'm thinking now 2 Ferris wheels. But anyway, aside from that, what about a double Ferris wheel? You know what? A twin one that goes up like this? Yeah. I can
make
see
everybody dizzy, eh?
Yeah. You know what? If we don't put one here, the U.S. is going to put one on Goat Island, and we're going to be, we're going to look dumb. We could have had it here.
No, we'd be better off developing marine land.
So say you. But we can put a giant Ferris wheel there, too. Anyway,
we can put a giant Ferris wheel there, yeah.
Without further ado, I bid you adieu. Don't forget Gaza and pray for peace.
Yep.